Hi. These videos take really long to make. I don't know if you want to hear about this, but we have to set up the camera and make sure that it looks okay and just like think about all these details, which is stuff I never really thought about until I started making these videos. Even though they're so simple, I've only made a few so far. I've only uploaded one to this channel. And I don't really have any other channel. I mean, I had something that I uploaded just to see how YouTube works. Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to... This is kind of a video about these videos, what my objective is. It's similar to the last one. I kind of just wanted to start last one. I had like a vocabulary list. It's kind of an extensive vocabulary list. It's probably too much to watch in one video. I started watching it, and after a while, I mean, I know all the words already, so I got kind of bored. So I'm thinking if I'm getting a little bored, maybe the people who are watching are thinking, okay, this is a little bit long for one session. The reason that I did that was because I wanted to have a vocabulary list that was useful, that was somewhat comprehensive, and would be a good start for starting to like talk and say some phrases, because the list was full of like activities and like what do you want to do, just simple phrases so people can start talking. I didn't really go heavy into grammar at all. I just kind of talked about the vocabulary, and I kind of thought if I do that video, because I know a lot of people's pronunciation is poor because they don't really get a lot of exposure to actually how to say the words on their vocabulary list, so I wanted to do that. And outside of that, if you have that vocabulary list and you keep listening to it and you keep working on it, then you can get better with that one. I just thought that was a good way to start, and I was going to do other videos incorporating that into grammar. I'm not doing videos as fast as I would like to, just because it's kind of a lot of work and I'm busy with other stuff, but I really want to make it a priority as much as possible. Usually it just ends up happening late at night and taking like a good amount of time. I have a lot more respect now for people who make movies, who make shows, who make commercials, professionally, and also on YouTube, because especially on YouTube because they don't necessarily have the professional help. It's all their own resources and time and energy, and they just put it on there, I mean, I guess more or less at no cost to the viewer. And a lot of the stuff is really interesting and really helpful. So, I mean, so far this has just been me talking about Spanish, about these videos. I would like, my goal ultimately, I would like to do the videos, I guess 5 times a week, because when I was in high school I learned Spanish. Obviously you take classes 5 times a week, about 50 minutes a day, and then you have 20 or so minutes of homework. And I think that's like the really best ideal way to learn. I studied Spanish in high school. I had a really good director of our program at our high school. I also studied Spanish in undergraduate, and also I got a master's in Spanish, literature, linguistics, and civilization. But I did have an advantage that I started early, but I started early at 14. That's past the critical point where supposedly language isn't naturally learned anymore. I did have a good program. I was exposed to, Spanish grammar and vocabulary 5 days a week. Of course, there's still obviously hope for people who don't have that luxury anymore because they're older and in a different stage in their life. But I know some of the people who have learned Spanish later. I mean, I know some of my friends who are Mormon did, go to like I guess a course 16 hours a day for like 2 months, and then they went to a country where they were immersed in it for 2 years. And I think that some of what I heard is that the people who were that they knew went to other countries, who were exposed to the language and the grammar first and had a base, were able to, when they went to the other country, be able to produce language more. Because some people think, oh, I just want to go to the country and learn, and that's fine, but it's usually good to have some kind of base first so that when you go there to use it, you actually have something to draw from. And a lot of people say, oh, I just want to go to the country and learn it, that's how you learn a language. I think that's partially true, but you really got to think about how many people live, for example, in the United States for 20 years and still don't speak the language very well. I mean, of course, there's different factors involved. Sometimes people in the United States who want to learn a second language are very highly educated, maybe would have the time or the resources to really learn a second language if they were placed in that country. And maybe some of the people who come here who try to learn English and maybe don't after so many years, it's because the communities they lived in, they weren't able to be exposed to that much English, because that, you know, that does happen. But I'm just saying, I know people who are exposed to English on a regular basis, and they've been here for many years, and their English is good, I mean, but there's still many errors. I think that grammar definitely does have value, but I guess what I forget, because over the years I've become a linguist, or, you know, a linguist or grammar person, I see the value of grammar now, and I think I credit that mostly to my Latin professor. And Latin I took in college, and he really taught us what grammar means and what it is and why it's valuable and how it's really relevant to not only learning languages but understanding language, understanding how to communicate, understanding the relationship of words to each other. As for me, a little bit about myself, yes, I do speak Spanish, and even like my cousins and family who don't speak Spanish, sometimes they say, oh, like, are you fluent? How much do you speak? Y por eso, si quieren, puedo decir algo en español para que sepan que sí, de verdad hablo español. Y pues no sé, paso tiempo a veces con mis amigos y algunos de ellos sí hablan español y hablamos en español, pero creo que sí hablo y todo eso, y creo que yo lo aprendí según, pues basado en lo que aprendí en la escuela. Like, I learned it based on what I learned in school. I went to Madrid for 4 months, but I was already fluent when I went to Madrid. And 4 months isn't necessarily enough for fluency. I mean, 2 years, of course, that's a decent amount of time. I guess what I'm trying to say to people is, obviously everyone's mind works differently, everyone learns a little differently. And two things. One might be hopeful, one might be a little less hopeful, but hopeful and helpful is they said that it's not necessarily a teacher's teaching style that determines success. It's more if the student's learning style and the teacher's teaching style are matched, if that determines whether someone's successful. And so there's different styles. There's grammar approach, like it's very heavy grammar. A lot of people think like, oh, the grammar approach doesn't help me, but then they're like, I just need to speak it. I'm like, okay, well then start speaking to me. And they don't even know. I mean, obviously if I say I want to go to the store, I have to know how to say I want, and they don't even know their conjugations. So I think grammar can totally be helpful. I don't know why it has such a bad rap. I guess I would like to change the way people feel about it, because I really think it can be useful. And again, everyone's mind learns differently, so for some people that may be difficult, but just incorporating some activities into your day might make it easier to produce the language, because a lot of people say, I don't have anyone to speak with, and this and that, but you can create situations. I mean, one of my friends who does speak English and Spanish very well, I mean, it's hard to find someone who's truly bilingual, who speaks 2 languages equally well, and he did, I think, go to an international school, if I remember correctly, but still, even after that, and that was in high school, he really maintained the 2 languages through, you know, self-study and just constantly speaking Spanish with his family and then English at work. And I mean, he tried to maintain it, because some people don't. He said a lot of people he thinks don't learn 2 languages well is just due to a little bit of laziness, and that's somewhat true. So here's some tips that I have. When I used to teach Spanish at a high school, there was something that they always wanted us to do: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So you have reading and writing. Reading a list of vocabulary, obviously that's not like serious comprehension based reading, but obviously at the lower stages you're not going to be you know, reading a dissertation or writing one. So any type of reading, writing, listening, or speaking every day can be helpful. I think this video might already be above 15 minutes, so I'm going to stop and probably make a part 2 addendum to this video.